Hello again, everyone. There was a change that took place. Jennifer made a choice that shocked Hollywood when she was 56 years old, after making $320 million and going through 3 divorces. It really did go like this behind the scenes. Her birthday is February 11th, 1969, and she was born in Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles. Inside, it seemed like a Hollywood family. John Aniston, her father, was an actor on Days of Our Lives, and Nancy Dow, her mother, was a model who had been on shows like the Beverly Hillbillies. However, things at home were not quiet. Jen often heard her mom say she wasn't pretty enough, even when she was a baby. For example, she'd say, "Put your face on." She heard these things over and over again as a child. She felt like she was never good enough because her mother made her feel like she was the same as her. Illness would stick with her for years. It got even worse because of her family history. Some of her mom's family was from Italy, and all of her dad's family was from Greece. That mixture should have made her childhood more interesting, but it only caused trouble. Her father was raised in Crete and had strict Greek values. These didn't always get along with her mother's ideas about beauty, fame, and being in charge. John was very strict and focused because he had been in the Navy and graduated from Penn State before becoming an actor. Nancy, on the other hand, seemed over the top and had strong views. They got into loud, angry fights, but they never talked about their feelings in a healthy way. Jen got used to the mess, but I never felt like I was heard. Notably, her grandpa, the famous actor Telly Savalas, tried to help. Although he played tough guys on TV, he was kind to Jennifer when they weren't working together. She and her dad were good friends, and when things got tough, he even found her dad work as an actor. When Jennifer was young, Telly even bought her a house to make her feel more stable. There was mental damage going on behind closed doors, and he tried to protect her with all his fame and money. Afterward, Jennifer said she knew him well when they were kids. What was wrong at home, though, not even he could fix. Although Jennifer had siblings, they didn't make things easy. John Mellick is her older half-brother. He was born in 1959 and is from her mom's first marriage. As a movie actor, he stayed behind the scenes. In 1989, Jennifer's younger half-brother Alexander Aniston was born. She was already 20 years old at the time. As it turned out, he was nothing like Hollywood. He was wild and rebellious. He had tattoos that said, "Live free," and "Down to cuddle." He didn't want to be in the spotlight at all. He complained that people asking about Jennifer had been a bother for years at a fair. That meant Jennifer had to choose between two brothers. One 10 years older than her who tried to keep her safe, and one 20 years younger who didn't care about her at all. Jennifer's parents' marriage was already not working when she was a baby. They always fought, and her mom was always telling her she looked bad. It looked like her dad was focused on his playing and not feeling anything. In November 1979, he had already left the family. She was only 10 years old. Her mother told her, "Your father won't be around for a while," when she got home from a birthday party. Nevertheless, he did not really return. Jennifer began to have problems with being left alone after that. Later, she said that seeing her parents really made her feel like she didn't want to go through that. In the relationships she had after that, it made her feel completely alone. When Jennifer was about 5 or 6, things became even more hard to understand. They lived in Greece for a year because her dad wanted to study medicine and his acting job slowed down. That year was horrible. She was made to belly dance in front of family, and she said it was a traumatic experience that she will never forget. Her parents fought over everything. She had to learn Greek, and she felt like she had no place in the world. They weren't even done with medical school when they got back to the US. Jen hated having to act in front of other people after that. When kids are asked to entertain at family events, she still remembers how it makes her feel. Then she almost died of something. Jennifer fell into a pool while riding her bike when she was 5 years old. Holding onto the handlebars, she fell straight to the ground. It was hard for her to swim. Someone from her family jumped in and saved her. The fear stayed with her forever, but she later laughed that she wasn't a very smart child. When she was making a movie in 2014 with underwater scenes, she needed weights and more than one take to get it right. "No one believes me. I really can't go underwater," she said. When Jennifer's parents split up in 1980, she was 9 years old and stuck between two very different lives. Her mother took her to live with her in New York City. Dad stayed in Los Angeles for his job on a soap show, so she visited her mom. It was hard to go that far. Her view of him was very limited. Living with Nancy also meant hearing daily comments about how she looked. Her mother always put her up against other girls or herself and told her she wasn't pretty. Jennifer got tired of that. Jen had trouble reading, but no one knew about it. This made things even worse. She had a hard time in school. I fell behind, had trouble reading, and felt stupid for no reason. The condition wasn't found until she was in her early 20s during a routine eye exam. While she read, her eyes moved quickly and skipped words. Fewer than 3 of the 10 questions on her reading test were right. That moment explained why I had felt lost and dumb for years. It made sense to her all the bad things that happened to her as a child, she said. For many years, she didn't know why she was having so much trouble. Both of her parents worked in show business, but they wouldn't let her watch TV. It was against the rules to watch TV at her Waldorf school. She couldn't watch TV when her dad was on it every day. Jennifer would sneakily watch shows like Dynasty when she was sick and by herself at home. She felt bad about it and lost. She very much enjoyed playing, but she was told not to enjoy the thing that her family did together forever. Joining the school's acting club when she was 11 years old gave her some peace. She used it as a way to escape, but dyslexia made it hard to remember lines. That stupid feeling came back. Ignoring how hurt she was, she became the class clown. Making other people laugh helped her deal with things. She would later find that sense of fun to be her strongest suit. Jennifer started going to LaGuardia High School when she was 15. It was the same school from the movie Fame. When she joined the acting club, her teacher Anthony Abeson made a big difference. He thought she was good. It all starts with the shoes, he told her, which means that the character starts with the body. She was able to act in plays like Three Sisters and The Sign in Sidney Brustian's Window with his help. Her first compliment on her sense of humor was from him, and it stuck with her. The relationship with her mom got worse when she got home. Nancy Dow was writing a book in the 1980s and often said that Jennifer wasn't the perfect daughter she had hoped for. Plain was what she called her. At 16, Jennifer finally lost it and dyed her hair blonde to show her displeasure. She said that she was still critical after years had passed. She was stunningly beautiful. They weren't. I was never that. Disputes got worse. Nancy's book, From Mother and Daughter to Friends, came out in 1999. It broke up their friendship for a long time. Jennifer had her first off-Broadway part in For Dear Life when she was 17 years old. To make money, she worked as a waitress. She kept going on dates. Others told her that because she was Greek, she looked too ethnic for parts in Hollywood. It made me hurt. It hurt her to be denied for who she was. She was in Dancing on Checkers' grave and kept learning from the teacher who had taught her before. Following her high school graduation in 1987, she considered going to college, possibly art school. Her dyslexia stopped her from doing the things she loved, like pottery. Crafting scripts was tough. It was harder to pass. She finally understood why everything had been so hard after being diagnosed in her early 20s. She chose to not go to college and become an actress full-time instead. She waited tables and went to audition after audition because she thought that all the pain would make sense one day. Her first appearance in a strange little movie was when she was only 19. That people later said was one of the worst movies ever. Jenna Aniston didn't even get a real part in Mac and Me, a cheap copy of E.T. that turned out to be a 99-minute McDonald's ad. It was hard to see her because she was just sitting on the curb of a parking lot while people faked a dance party outside of McDonald's. For that scene, she got paid only $200, which wasn't even enough to cover her trip to San Fernando Valley. Not even $6.4 million were made from the movie, which cost $13 million. Some people thought it was selfish, embarrassing, and like business ads trying to look like kids' stories. It wasn't just her. Other future stars were stuck in it too. Nikki Cox was there too, but she wasn't thanked. People who were in that movie years later tried to act like it never happened. She had more early disasters than just that one. That same year, she got a steady part on the Fox show Malloy. She even moved from New York to Los Angeles just for it, because it looked good at first. In hopes that this would be her big break, she spent all of her funds and borrowed money. Unfortunately, the show only showed 7 episodes before it was quickly and without warning canceled. Actually, 3 more shows were never shown. They let her go with $5,000 in debt and no job. She went back to working as a waitress at Jackson Hole Hamburgers and did that job for another 2.5 years, making minimum pay plus tips. It broke my heart when Malloy failed and Blossom, Mayim Bialik's other pilot, became a hit. There were two shows going at the same time, but only one made it, and it wasn't hers. That same year, she got another chance to act when she was cast as Ferris' sister Jeannie in NBC's TV version of Ferris Bueller. But the part was nothing like what she thought it would be. They made her into a moody, angry teen. It hurt her. The writers kept her in snarky dialogue and fights with Ferris. There was no spark between Charlie Schlatter as Ferris, and the audience hated the show. It only had 13 episodes. After the fact, she said that this was the moment she understood how simple it was to get stuck in one part. Once that happened, casting directors only saw her as the impatient sister. She was a guest in Herman's Head in 1991 and played Herman's sister Susie. In reality, though, things were bad. Later, it was said that some of the guys on set were mean to her. This happened in the early 1990s. People didn't even try to hide the sexism in TV society. It was only written for her to look pretty. It wasn't actual. She didn't say much in public at the time, but during the Nub Me Too movement a few years later, she hinted that this show was one of the things that made her see things differently. She learned to stand up for herself, even if it meant going after a job. That was back in 1993, which she played the lead in a cheap horror movie called Leprechaun. It cost $900,000 and was very hard on the body. Her co-star Warwick Davis played the monster with full scary makeup. It took her hours of screaming and running through scenes with almost no breaks. He chased her in a scene with a wheelchair that didn't work right, so she had to run slowly for take after take. Stress really existed. The fear she showed on her face in the movie wasn't always real. It turned out to be the worst thing she had ever done. The movie made only $8.6 million, but it was the first in a series of scary movies. And she didn't want to be a part of it. She didn't want to talk about it at all. But all of a sudden, things changed in 1994. She tried out for Friends Like Us, a new NBC show. The people who made the show thought she would be great as Monica Geller. But Jennifer said no. She said she wanted to read for Rachel Green instead. Initially, they said no, but she insisted. When she was 25, she tried something new that could have ended her career. She had to try out, though, and within 24 hours, she got the part. Just one thing was wrong. She was already showing up on a different CBS show called Muddling Through. Warren Littlefield, president of NBC, had to take a chance that Muddling Through would not work out. Yes, it did, making room for Friends. Just before all of this, she turned down Saturday Night Live, which shocked everyone. She wanted to be on Adam Sandler's show. That day, she met with Lorne Michaels and told him the truth. The show made her feel like she was in a boys' club. She missed Gilda Radner's appearances. It was Friends she chose over SNL, even though no one had heard of it. Even though her agent told her it might fail like the others, she went with her gut, and it changed her life. Although it wasn't simple at first, she had a fight with co-creator Marta Kaufman during the early tryouts for Friends. Rachel, she thought, was too shallow, like a spoiled bride-to-be who ran away. No matter how new she was, she fought for changes. The changes cost NBC about $200,000 and slowed down production by 2 weeks. But it was worth it. Rachel grew up and became a real person, with flaws and fears. Because of her fight, TV's most popular character came into being. Despite everything, Season 1 did not make her rich. She got $2,500 for each show. Altogether about $540,000. She used a lot of it to help her mom pay her bills while she lived in expensive Manhattan. There were reports that she and David Schwimmer got along well while they were filming. It seemed like some crew members were really into each other. After many years, they both admitted that they had crushes on each other but never acted on them because one of them was always seeing someone else. But that tense moment turned into the story of Ross and Rachel that millions of people loved. But it almost stopped before it started. A test episode of Friends played in August 1994, and Rachel was hated by everyone who saw it. They said she was annoying. She almost got fired from NBC, which had other actors ready. But when the scene with the runaway bride had to be res hot at Central Perk, Jennifer didn't follow the script and made it up on the spot. She stutters and messes up the coffee, and gave Rachel life. The people there loved it. It was a turning point in TV history and saved her job. They destroyed the original video and only kept the improvised parts. A third season later, NBC tried to offer Jennifer and David Schwimmer $100,000 per show because of how popular they were. Each actor or actress was still getting $2,500. Jennifer didn't want to. For fairness' sake, She and David decided to lower their offer to $75,000. That cost each of them about $625,000, but it kept the show's friendships together and set the tone for future talks. Jennifer was quietly struggling with bulimia in 1998 while the Vegas episodes were being filmed. She felt like she had to stay thin because the tabloids were making fun of her weight. She lost a lot of weight, 110 pounds, and started eating only 1,000 calories a day while working out all the time. In those scenes that made Vegas look fun, she was actually suffering alone, drinking Chinese slimming teas and getting by with almost no energy. Rachel smiled at everyone, but Jennifer was crying inside. The money war started in 2000. NBC sent $750,000 to each cast member for seasons 9 and 10. Jen led the charge for $1 million. In a panic, executives put out ads saying that Friends was closing. The actors didn't give up. A deal was made with NBC because they still had 4 shows to film. For the last 2 seasons, Jennifer made $24 million. That deal forever changed how people bargained. When Matthew Perry's drug use got out of hand in 2001, it put her friendship with him to the test. Every day, he drank a quart of vodka and took 55 Vicodin pills. Suddenly, he weighed only 128 pounds. Jennifer and other people tried to help him, but he ignored them all the time. He was in rehab during Chandler and Monica's wedding scenes. Jennifer felt bad as she saw him struggle. During the years, she and the rest of the cast went to about 6,000 TTA meetings in secret to help him in any way they could. In 2004, reports began to spread that Rachel would die in the last episode. Jennifer became scared. She cried at table reads because she was afraid that people would remember her as a sad character or, even worse, that Rachel would be the end of her career. NBC had talked about the idea to get more viewers. The directors said it wasn't true, but she still felt scared. She later said that she wanted Friends to end so badly but was scared of what would happen next. Jen Aniston did something that most Hollywood stars wouldn't even think of doing when she was 39 years old. At that age, many women in the business were expected to slow down or leave, but she started Echo Films in April 2008. That wasn't just her doing. She dated Kristen Hahn. However, the choice was made right after a breakup. She and Brad Pitt were no longer married in 2006. He also fired her from the production company they used to work together, Plan B. Pitt took over as the only owner, sending Jennifer packing. The majority of people believe that Echo Films was merely an act of ego. One more star trying to stay popular. Then something strange happened. They agreed to give Universal advance notice of their movies for 5 years in exchange for $50 million. At that point, everyone knew Jennifer wasn't pretending. She wanted to write stories that were important. The Gory Girls, a dramatic story about women prisoners who formed a band, was one of the first projects. Her previous work, which included romantic musicals, was very different from this. She changed, and it wasn't a slow change. That change became even clearer when the morning show started. Only 20 shows were shown in the first 2 seasons, but Apple TV Plus made $300 million from them. It was one of the most expensive shows ever made, costing $15 million each episode. Jennifer and Reese Witherspoon's pay for each show was $2 million. Plus, they got paid to make the show and even got stock shares. The total for all of them was more than $20 million a season. But COVID-19 hit in 2020 and almost stopped all production. Another $100 million from Apple was needed to keep it going. Jennifer did a lot more than just act in the show. She made the decisions. She could go against the director, ask for changes to the script, and argue with anyone in charge. Behind the scenes, it really made things tense. However, she had won that power. Even more happened in season 2. On screen, Jennifer's character started to deal with racism. Not all of it was in the story, either. Her new writing included things about pay gaps and being treated unfairly. Those times hurt a lot. They showed what Hollywood was really like. Aside from the camera, there were also real fights. A different reporter on the show, Nicole Behari, didn't like how she was being treated. There were problems that were too connected to the story to be ignored. The show became more than just fun when it dealt with COVID and what happened after George Floyd was killed. There was a scene in which Jennifer broke down because of racism in the system. Some people didn't like how strong it was. For some groups, having a white woman play the lead role in those stories was wrong, and it caused heated arguments in the writer's room. Time has passed, Season 4 is about to come out in 2025. Jennifer won't give up, even though she's 56 years old. She told Apple she wouldn't do the show if her part became less important. They were in agreement. As long as there are long fights. She still got paid $2 million a show, but this time she had even more creative freedom. She could turn down any plot that made her seem like any other old woman. This season alone cost Apple $400 million, which is the most they've ever spent on original material. Jennifer could approve of the clothing, the cast, and even the directors when she was on set. She was no longer the star. She was kind of running the show. It was the same year she began shooting Hail Mary. The budget was $100 million, which made it one of the most expensive female-led sports stories. Jennifer, who used to be a beauty queen, played Denise White, a sports agent. There was no romance, flirting, or love story to make her look better. How she wanted it. But the first director, Michelle MacLaren, didn't like it and left in the end. That made the wait 6 months long. The studios didn't think people would like Jennifer in such a tough part, so she found other ways to make money. She even paid personally $25 million. She was taking the biggest risk ever. Prior to this, many people had been following her relationship with Brad Pitt. They got to know each other in 1998 at a picture shoot for Martini and Rossi. The following year, he asked her to marry him with a ring worth $500,000. They told everyone at a Sting show. There were over $1 million spent on their wedding in Malibu in July 2000. In front of a wall of $90,000 worth of flowers, the guests ate caviar and watched fireworks for 13 minutes. Things weren't perfect, though. Kids came up in the prenuptial agreement. And Jennifer was already under a lot of stress because she was a mother and the media kept asking her about it. 5 years later, everything broke down. The split was the most publicized star breakup of the decade. Angelina Jolie and Brad met on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Jennifer even said nice things about her at Warner Brothers and hoped they had fun working together. She lacked knowledge about what was going to happen. Angelina shared pictures of herself and Brad on a beach in Kenya a few months after the split became public. Later, someone close to the magazine revealed that Angelina herself gave the tip. There was no more private after that picture. All of a sudden, Jennifer was stuck between Team Aniston and Team Jolie. At that time, she said she felt like a piñata that was being pumped up and then smashed. In 2011, she met Justin Theroux while making Wanderlust. They seemed pleased with their $22 million Bel Air home. Behind the scenes, though, she was desperately trying to have a child through IVF and other things. When she was 41, she frozen her eggs. Later, she said she wished someone had told her to do it sooner. The news kept changing the story, even though she drank tea and tried everything, accusing her of putting work ahead of family. All of it was lies to her. They got married in their backyard in 2015, a small ceremony, and Jennifer said they already felt like they were married. It wasn't long-lasting, though. Things were going wrong by the end of 2017. Before they announced they were splitting up in February 2018, Jennifer said in an interview that she loved living with her husband and dogs. Sadly, it was over. Friends said that Justin was interested in younger women. On New Year's, they went to Cabo together and hid the truth. Jennifer kept the dog after the split, but the pain stayed. In a great conversation a year ago, Justin had called her his ally. That was until the summer of 2018, when he was seen living alone. In July 2025, it was reported that Jennifer was dating magician Jim Curtis, who had more than 550,000 fans. He used to say that he got bored with women after a while, but now he was helping Jennifer through something scary. Jimmy Wayne Carwile had been following her around for 2 years, sending her emails and voicemails, and even showing up at her house. On May 5, 2025, he drove his car through her fencing. For him, she was the person who would give birth to 3 children. It happened when she was at home. What happened then scared her. Jim started hypnosis with her to help her feel safe again, calm down, and sleep better. Jennifer has built a $320 million business by the time she is 56 years old. One deal lets each major cast member get 2% of her annual $20 million. The show's $1 billion a year in sales. They made $42 million in 2024, with the morning show and other projects doing well. She makes $10 million a year from her Lola V hair care line, and she owns property in Montecito, including Oprah's old farm. Behind the scenes, though, she's still working. Because her eyes are dry, She needs drops every hour. It hurt to do makeup on set. Her perimenopause has been making her sleepless since she was in her early 40s. Things went downhill in 2024. She even started to sleepwalk and set off her house alarm one time. Her alternative to drugs was relaxation and breathing exercises. The fact that her mind wouldn't shut up made her feel like she couldn't sleep. She said something that no one thought she would in June 2025. Her goal was to work on Broadway after almost 40 years in movies and TV shows. It was just that she needed the right story. But she also made it clear that she wouldn't agree to a Friends reunion story that made Rachel Green look stupid or childish. She wanted to come back for Horrible Bosses 3 and was already talking with Jason Bateman and Charlie Day about possible ideas. Another big project coming from Echo Films was a remake of 9 to 5 and a movie version of I'm Glad My Mom Died, in which she'll play a demanding stage mom. Her heartfelt causes got $5 million from her in 2025. The idea for the Clitio Fund came from her own dogs, Clyde and Chesterfield. She started it in 2024 to help animals in need. She also helped programs for people with learning disabilities after she was later labeled with dyslexia. When her kids' book, Clitio Takes a Bite Out of Life, comes out on October 1st, 2025, all the money she makes goes to dog rescues. Some time ago, she gave $1 million to hurricane relief and $500,000 to the Red Cross and the Ricky Martin Foundation. Her giving feels even more personal now, though.